When it comes to quality sleep, Ashley has you covered with top mattress brands at winning prices and with special financing options available. You can snooze now and pay later. Plus, your mattress purchase helps give the gift of better sleep to children in need and U.S. Special Operations Forces. Visit your local Ashley store or shop online today and make every snooze count. Financing is subject to credit approval. See store or ashley.com for details.
Rosetta Stone is the language learning program with a lasting impact. I've been using their app to learn French, and it's not just about memorizing words, but actually having real conversations. And it's not just French. They offer 25 languages. Right now, Rosetta Stone has an awesome holiday deal, 50% off their lifetime membership. Every language, unlimited access forever. For anyone keen on diving deep into a new language, check out rosettastone.com. It's a game changer.
Welcome to True Crime Garage. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Nick, and with me, as always, is a man that is definitely a lion and not a mouse. He's not afraid of anything, not even a rhinoceros.
Impossiris.
He is the captain.
Thank you. It's good to be seen, and it's good to see you. Thanks for listening, and thanks for telling a friend.
Tonight we are drinking Warped Speed Scotch Ale by the beautiful people over at Lake Louie Brewing Company in Arena, Wisconsin. Garage grade 3 3/4 bottle caps out of 5.
Louie.
Warped Speed Scotch Ale is a beautiful reddish brown color, full bodied with a smooth light hopped finish, and I feel like all of our listeners are lightly hopped, so this should go over well.
Well, and some people would say the captain is a little above average when it comes to the hops.
And Warp Speed was brought to us by these speed demons. First up, all the way in New Zealand, we have Layla.
And Jennifer from Columbus reminding everybody to treat yourself.
And we got a We Love Your Jib from Corey in beautiful Vancouver Island up in Canada.
We love your jib. I have to admit, I did like the Michigan jerseys this week. So the next one comes from Grand Rapids, Michigan. We have Rachel. We like your jib.
And last but not least, we have April and Riley from the Woodlands in Texas. So thanks to everybody for filling up the fridge for this week's show. If you want to buy us around for next week's show, go to truecrimegarage.com and click on the donate button.
And while you're at truecrimegarage.com, check out the merchandise page. A lot of people have been supporting the show by buying a t-shirt and looking pretty sexy doing it, if I do say so myself.
All right, everybody gather around, grab a chair, grab a beer. Let's talk some true crime. On April 18, 2016, 45-year-old fitness instructor Missy Bevers was brutally murdered inside the Creekside Church located in Midlothian, Texas, in the early hours of the morning. At the time, she was getting preparations ready for her fitness class. This is called Camp Gladiator, before her students arrived at 5 a.m. in the morning. That's when the students discovered her lifeless body. Her death was caused by puncture wounds to the head and chest. As we said yesterday, we went over the video that police had released, the surveillance footage of the suspect dressed in tactical gear. This is where things became interesting because whomever this suspect is, they had a very unorthodox and unnatural posture and stance, especially when walking.
Right, which is called the gait.
On April 20th, Missy's husband, this is Brandon Bevers, gave a statement to reporters in which he talks about how proud he was of Missy, and he really stresses to people that they should watch the surveillance video because of this gait that you discussed, that somebody could know this person just by the way that they walk.
Yeah, and obviously at the initial investigation, Brandon's going to be a suspect himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his wife is murdered. There was talks about possibly infidelity in their marriage, possibly coming from him, possibly coming from her. And so jealousy, there's your motive. So Brandon is a likely suspect. What's interesting here in this case, though, is one, Brandon has an alibi, and two, and it's a pretty tight alibi when you do some research into it. He was out of town on some trip, and so there's the hotel receipts, there's eyewitnesses there, and then there's the car rental receipts and stuff like that. And then we also have this surveillance footage, and Brandon's clearly probably above 6 foot. I'd say maybe 6'1", and this suspect that's on the surveillance tape is maybe 5'2" to 5'7".
Yeah. It was through search warrants that the police came across, it would either be text or some form of messages that were found on Missy's information, where they learned that she had some kind of flirtatious relationship with another male or possible other males. After that was discovered, police had what one would call a break in the case, because now you have this potential motive, like you had said. I don't know that Brandon has spoke publicly about exactly what was going on in their relationship, but it sounds like he's been very forthcoming with police. And it, like you said, it sounds like there was some kind of relationship outside of the marriage. Now, whether that was 10 years ago or if it was current, we don't know.
Well, they have her information from Facebook, so you have Facebook Messenger, which is pretty much like text, so there's probably some information there that they found on her phone. But the other thing that comes out later is there was some LinkedIn communication back and forth, which was then turned over by the police, and the police claimed that there was some flirtatious conversations going back and forth with another male individual, which they checked out. And I think one of the reasons why Brandon hasn't been talking about this publicly, but has been talking to law enforcement about it, is because his kids are of the age that they could watch these interviews. And look, he said, look, we all have problems with our marriage, and we're trying to work through it.
Right.
So that's where they're at. And I think he doesn't, especially in the death of their mother, he doesn't want to put a dark light or any bad twist on their viewpoint of their mother.
Missy's husband, Brandon Bevers, he gave a statement to reporters. This was just 2 days after her murder. And the original is quite lengthy, but we're going to trim it down so we can listen into that statement.
What are you going through right now? I mean, today, right now?
Well, I don't want to do interviews, okay? I just want to make a statement. Is that all right?
Tell us what you want to say.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
I said, hang on, I'm having a problem with the camera.
Yeah, let him get ready. And y'all can funnel this up to the other media outlets, okay?
Yes, sir.
And I can be done with this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We appreciate you coming out. We know it's got to be terribly difficult. And we're really just hoping you'll speak from your heart about your wife.
And may we all just say, we are sorry. We are sorry for your family's loss.
I appreciate it. I haven't had a whole lot of time to, I haven't had a lot of time to get emotional about this yet. I've been dealing with the immediate needs of my children. This morning I've had some. This morning I finally started thinking about the events that occurred yesterday morning, and so I'm starting with that process today. The main purpose here today is solely to communicate to the people in the community and to everybody watching and listening. My wife was she was a godly woman, and she was a very passionate about changing people's lives with fitness and changing their mental attitude towards their body and themselves and their abilities in life. And personally, I haven't involved myself in a lot of what she does, but now that I'm seeing some of her campers I've noticed a substantial impact that she's had on so many people's lives, and I'm very proud of her. And I just want it to be publicly known that we are very proud of all of the passion and effort that she's put into so many people's lives. As far as the perpetrator, I don't know, we still don't know who he is, but I ask everybody out there to review the video. I think you can get the video on the Midlothian Police Department's Facebook website. Look at the video. The person has a very distinct walk. There's just a very distinct mannerism about this person that should be very apparent to somebody. Okay? I don't believe there was a vehicle there. This perpetrator, I don't know if he walked into the facility or if he got, we don't know how he arrived at the facility. But I'm just hoping that somebody either saw something or somebody can recognize the mannerisms of this person on the video. It's very important to us to get some closure with that, and but at the same time, I want to definitely publicize that my wife was she was a great woman, a wife, a great mother, a great friend. She will be missed by many people, but please be diligent as you can and review the video and report anything to the Midlothian Police Department. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess this is your last time. You're not going to speak again after this. Is that correct? This is what you.
I really don't. I mean, I don't want to. In terms of obtaining a story to pull at heartstrings and stuff like that, I'm not looking here for the media to sensationalize a tragedy. Okay. My family needs, we need our privacy, and that's why I wanted to do this in one time only. But we need our privacy. I haven't had a lot of sleep. I haven't had a lot of one-on-one time with my children. I just have some issues that I need to deal with on a personal level with my children. I want to reach out to the Camp Gladiator, the campers that she mentored, and I want to talk to those folks and express, my appreciation for their admiration of my wife. Okay?
You do understand, sir, that we are here because we want to help the police catch whoever did this as well.
Yes. But as far as any, one-on-one interview, tug at the heartstrings, kind of stories, sensationalized, I'm not here for that.
I don't think any of us are trying to sensational. I mean, your wife was a mother and a woman who touched so many lives through her work.
Correct. You are correct.
And that's why, we want to share her story. And you know that better than anyone.
Correct.
You knew her better than anyone. The kind of woman she was, the kind of mother she was.
Well, she was a very good mother. She spent, I'll go a little further here. When Missy, before we had children, Missy was a teacher, public school teacher. She worked with special needs children, and she did that for about 2 years. I could see the amount of outpouring in her soul to help needy people. Okay, and especially at that time, it was special needs children. And then we had children. She stayed at home, raised our children, and when she got back into the workforce, or when time allowed her to do things for herself, she found Camp Gladiator. And through raising our 3 children, she transformed into a different physically person, a mother. She decided to become physically fit, and for a 40-some-odd-year-old mother of 3, she was very fit. and transformed on an unimaginable level. Her body pretty well sold her abilities in transforming and helping other people. And but she was very passionate about helping these people, and I would catch some of her campers' remarks on her Facebook page about how excited they were of the results that they've seen through her efforts, and I'm proud of her. We're very proud of her.
She meant a lot of things to a lot of people. What did she mean, though, to you as her husband?
Well, she was a companion. We enjoyed fishing. We enjoyed going to the beach. We spent a lot of time at the ocean. We've been together for 20 years, and over the 20 years, our relationship evolved from this to that to this to that, and we've managed to keep it, held together all this time. But at this particular venture in our lives, it opened up an opportunity for her to do something that was gratifying to herself, rather than raising a family constantly, driving kids around. And she's just, like I said, the Camp Gladiator opportunity came up, and
She was so well loved. Are you racking your brain to say who would want to hurt such a beautiful person?
yes, I mean, it's this world is full of evil people. I don't know, without going into any details that I've spoke with law enforcement. I mean, yeah, we're talking about a senseless act here, okay?
Did you look at the video to see if you saw anybody, recognized anything about it?
The same video that I watched on a continuous loop. It's the same video that you guys have already had access to.
Click anything for you?
Nothing clicks. I can't tell if the person is a man or a woman. The police estimate that he's about 6 foot tall. This person's 6 foot tall. But if you look at the mannerisms of the person, how they walk, I mean, there's something very distinctive there that somebody has to be able to point this out.
It seems to baffle the police department, like it baffles us as reporters, and it baffles the investigation why someone would break into church wearing a tactical police paraphernalia. Does that baffle you too, as someone wants justice? I
don't know. There are some things that the police are looking into with respect to the timing of it and the arrival of my wife. The person wasn't in tactical gear. That wasn't tactical gear. That was a shoddy amount of clothing to look like some type of an enforcement officer. It wasn't real tactical clothing.
What did it look like to you?
Well, I mean, from the video, as best I could tell, it looked like maybe motorcycle boots or some type of military-style boot. I couldn't tell the pants. It looked like some kind of flimsy, like sweatpants or something. I couldn't really tell. But the jacket was just a generic police jacket, kind of a velour-looking police jacket. And I couldn't even identify the helmet. The person was wearing a helmet, and I couldn't identify whether it was a motorcycle helmet. I don't know if there is a motorcycle avenue on that outfit, or if it was a tactical avenue, because the helmet, I couldn't even tell what it was.
Do you think someone wanted to hurt Missy in particular, or this was?
I do not know the answer to that.
She posted on her Facebook that she was going to be there. Is that something that police have also looked into, perhaps, that they've talked to you about?
Well, the date, time, and location of her camps are publicized. They're known. Those times and schedules are already predetermined. It definitely sets up an opportunity for the unknown to happen, particularly since she arrives there early before anybody else does. But if you look at the video, and I don't know how much of the video the police has released, but if you look at the video, and from what I understand, the perpetrator came through the back door, okay, and spent several minutes rummaging from room to room. If I'm not mistaken, he might have broke some glass in this room looking for something, broke some glass in this room looking for something, spent some time in the kitchen area. But by the time my wife arrived, I don't know of the video at that point, but according to the police, shortly after the altercation, needless to say, it's the opinion of the police department that the perpetrator didn't know the presence of my wife, or that she was going to be there. I think my wife walked in on a robbery. That's just an opinion. That's not fact.
So you don't think she was targeted, or like that she was particularly?
In strictly my opinion, I don't think she was targeted. And to the best of my knowledge, when my wife arrived, there was no other vehicle in the parking lot, and otherwise it would have obviously drawn. My wife would have seen that. So as far as I know, and you have to confirm that with the police, there was no other vehicles on the property. But according to the timeline, the person came into the building and left the crime scene before the other campers showed up. So was there another vehicle, or did they have cameras outside that could confirm that? I don't know.
When was the last time you spoke with her? And were you guys in the habit of maybe texting?
Yes.
She'd go to these locations, where it would be dark and quiet.
As far as communicating prior to her camps, no. I mean, she got there pretty early.
Okay, so you hadn't heard from her that morning?
No.
When did you guys speak the night before?
Yes.
And what did you say to her?
Every day for the last 10 months, she has made it a point to text me at work that she loves me and have a good day, honey. When I finally arrived in Biloxi around 7:30, which was later than I was supposed to be there, I spoke to her, and she said good night, and it was still about 8 o'clock, and I called her anyway, probably around 9 or 9:30 to tell her I love her, and she was already half asleep, and that's the last time I spoke to her.
That was on the phone.
That was on the phone.
Well, we trimmed it down, but it was still somewhat lengthy.
Yeah, some highlights from that I want to touch upon here, Captain, is he's talking about the investigation a little bit, and that's where we hear him say that, I don't know if he misspeaks or if he's just kind of telling us that police don't believe for whatever reason, that there was another car parked in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
I find that very interesting. At one point, he says, I've seen, the same video that you have seen. And then at another point, he says, I don't know how much of the footage the police have released. And that makes me wonder if there is more footage out there.
There's definitely more footage out there.
Right. And I'm curious to see I would love to know what's on that footage. It may just be more of the same, of walking around the halls and busting up doors and windows.
Well, I believe the actual attack is on camera as well.
That could be the situation. But it sounds like they interviewed him extensively, the police did, and they showed him the video. During this time, now mind you, this is just 2 days after her murder.
Mm-hmm.
He says that they believe the killer to be 6 foot tall. We now know that to not be the case. And he constantly, there's much debate as to whether this is a man or a woman. And he says he a lot during this statement.
Well, he also states a couple falsities, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first one being that the police said, well, we think the suspect is 6 foot. Well, once again, that's before they did any, checking on that, any scientific, measuring of the tape and measuring of the different heights or whatever. Now they're saying, well, now it's 5'2", 5'7". So therefore, immediately, then you start going, well, what male is within that range. So he kind of misspoke there. And then the other one was that they initially believed that, that this was just a burglary gone bad. And now again, 2 days after, within a week after watching the tapes again, he starts believing that, it makes more sense that she was targeted.
Yeah, he has said since this statement that he has told police he strongly believes that the murderer is a female and someone that knew Missy in some form of her on a personal level. Furthermore, he suggests that this unidentified person attempted to make this tragedy look like a burglary gone wrong.
Right, which makes a lot of sense because there's evidence of that. This person just opening up doors and breaking glass and not taking anything.
Right, and there's no, we know that there was some trouble with the marriage. Like I said, he says in this interview that they've been together for about 20 years or over 20 years. Now, here's one thing that I would throw into question. We don't know the timeline of the problems with the marriage, obviously. But I think that if there was an affair on either end, if it were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it's less likely to have anything to do with her murder. We don't know how recent they had marital problems.
Well, I mean, there's something going on if she's inappropriately exchanging texts with male individuals.
But he says, when asked, did you speak to your wife or how often, did you often trade text or anything like that? He says something that's a little telling to me. He says, every day for the past 10 months, my wife has texted me while I'm at work and wishes me a good day and tells me that she loves me. It seems to me like something has happened more recent in their marriage. Do you get that feeling? Doesn't that sound almost like a make good situation? Like, I got to make up for this. I got caught doing something, or I've done something wrong in the marriage, and now
she did.
Yeah, I got to make good. Or is this a demand? Sometimes when people are wronged, they say, you better tell me that you love me. You better.
Yeah, right. But what I just said was, who cares about 10 months ago? I'm talking about the day of inappropriate text messages found on, in her phone, found it on social media, found on other social connecting sites like LinkedIn.
Right. No, I agree with that, and I know of that. I'm just saying that this appears to me that something occurred in the marriage roughly around that 10-month ago part. And that is a little interesting to me.
Let's get back to this. More suspects, more evidence right after this quick beer break.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Do you look forward to the holidays? Maybe you struggle with seasonal blues. This time of year can be a lot, and it's natural to feel some sadness or even anxiety about it. But adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings. Therapy can be a bright spot, something to look forward to make you feel grounded, and to give you the tools to manage everything going on. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/garage today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/garage.
Rosetta Stone is the language learning program with a lasting impact. I've been using their app to learn French, and it's not just about memorizing words, but actually having real conversations. And it's not just French. They offer 25 languages. Right now, Rosetta Stone has an awesome holiday deal, 50% off their lifetime membership. Every language, unlimited access forever. For anyone keen on diving deep into a new language, check out rosettastone.com. It's a game changer.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
All right, we're back. Cheers, mates.
Now, one thing you had told me, Captain, regarding the husband, Brandon, you cannot fake height, and he does not appear to be the height of 5'2" to 5'7". Like you said, I'm thinking, I look at him, I see like 5'11" to 6'1". He did have an alibi. As you said, he was out of town. He was out of the state. I guess this was an annual fishing trip that he took. They were able to confirm his alibi. So he doesn't seem to be a suspect in the sense that it was not him in the building.
Right.
And yes,
doesn't exclude him from hiring somebody.
Right. And yes, they were having marital problems, but that also doesn't mean that you hire somebody to kill your wife. It's a possibility, but even though that this stuff is going on, regardless, she's still the mother of your 3 children.
Right. So I think the next theory that the police started thinking about was, if there was marital problems, would there be somebody else in the family that, maybe he could hire or would help him out with this? And people started focusing in on Brandon's father. This would be Missy's father-in-law.
Yeah, Randy Bevers. So yeah, I like this, Captain. Let's pull the circle out a little bit further here. So a few days after the murder happened, Missy's father-in-law, Randy Bevers, he went to the dry cleaners and he brought a woman's...
Wait, hold on. I just want to say, this is why, the true, just real life is, what do they say?
Stranger than fiction.
Right. Because you can't make this shit up. When I was reading this, I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. He took, I guess, 4 articles of clothing to the dry cleaners, and he got there in the early morning hours. One of those items was a women's XXL long sleeve shirt. This was a white shirt. I've heard it reported that it was quote unquote covered in blood. Right. I've also heard it reported that it had blood spots on it, or spots that appeared to be blood on it. So whether it was covered or spotted, who knows? But one of the employees got a little weirded out by the items that he dropped off. So they contacted the police. The police get a search warrant to collect these items.
Well, and also, again, it's such a small town. Everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, when the employee called the police, they're like, this guy brought in a blood-covered shirt. His name's Randy Bevers, and by the way, he's the father-in-law of Missy Bevers.
Right.
So they collect these items. Now, Randy was pretty forthcoming about the shirt. He told the employees at the dry cleaner, as well as later the police, that the blood was from a Chihuahua. I guess he and his wife, Vicky, have a little dog. The dog was injured in some kind of dog fight. They may have been watching another dog, or for some reason there was another dog at their house. The dog was injured. I guess the dog unfortunately passed away because of this. They took the dog to the vet. The vet later confirmed this story. But the thing here is they were testing the shirt for DNA. And I think that this whole shirt thing checks out. It's just one of these strange, weird coincidences that happens in these cases, but it's gotten a lot of people talking.
Well, the thought you didn't finish is that when they tested it, it's animal DNA. It's not human DNA.
Yes. But more interesting, though, we have Randy, the father-in-law.
It gets weirder, folks.
Well, let me go ahead and throw this out for people who've not seen him. He's roughly the same height as he's shorter than his son, which might put him at that 5'6", 5'7". I can't say with 100% certainty, but he's definitely shorter than his...
Maybe taller, but again, maybe the 5'2" to 5'7" is off a little bit. Maybe he's 5'9". But yeah, he has a weird stance.
Yes, because there was a particular broadcast that came out, and in this broadcast, the father-in-law was interviewed. The first thing, and I watched this interview, the first thing I noticed was his demeanor is strange to me. Now, I
didn't find him that strange.
Really? He seemed to me like he was either nervous or a little confrontational with the people interviewing him, with the reporters.
Yeah, well, your daughter-in-law was murdered, and you have to go to the dry cleaners with bloody clothes.
Mm-hmm.
This is, yeah, it checks out. It's animal DNA, not human DNA, but you know where this is going to head. You know what's going to happen with the media, and the media has ruined people's lives.
That's true. So maybe he's just a weird dude, though, too. Maybe he's uncomfortable in front of cameras, uncomfortable in front of reporters.
Well, yeah, most people would be.
Look, I'm going on the record and saying I thought his behavior was strange. But what also occurred during that broadcast is after he's done speaking with reporters, he walks into a building. Now, This might be the police department. It looks like some kind of government type building.
Uh-huh.
He walks into this building and he's got a strange walk.
Strange gait. Yep.
Yes. And some people have said it's identical to how the person was walking in the video. Other people say that it's similar.
Well,
I will say it's similar. I'm not going to say it's identical. I actually think it's a little different.
To me, it's not so much him walking back into the police station. It's him walking out.
And his toes are pointed out a little bit.
His toes are pointed out, walks a little bit like a duck. But the other thing about it, too, is his right foot seems a little, like there's something
delayed.
Wrong with it. Yep. And it also seems like when he has to shift his weight, that he has to almost catch his balance, like he has to regroup his balance. And you see that time and time again in the surveillance footage. So, again, I'll have the original surveillance footage up on the website. I'll actually put the comparison of the two on the website as well, so you can check that out.
So with the father-in-law, what is his story? Well, apparently he was out of the state of Texas as well. At the same time,
surprise.
Yeah, I guess he was in California with his wife and the dog that ended up getting killed in that dogfight. So he was in California. They say his alibi checks out. Actually, in a press conference, the Midlothian assistant chief, this is Kevin Johnson, told reporters that despite social media rumors, no one in Missy's family, friends, or coworkers are considered suspects.
Right.
He said that Missy's husband and father-in-law, specifically, had been very forthcoming and cooperative in the investigation. Both men supplied alibis that had been verified by police. Johnson also said that any names that had been released in any search warrants were also not considered suspects at the time of this press conference.
Well, and what's interesting here is the police made these statements saying, "Hey, we don't think that we're basically clearing the family."
Mm-hmm.
And then Brandon comes out and says, "This is Missy's husband." Comes out and says, "Look, you can clear people all you want, but we shouldn't be cleared. Everybody should still be a suspect until you have somebody that you have evidence on. Everybody's still a suspect." And I like that thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so, does this alibi check out? Yeah, but look, the gate is weird. That's the thing that bothers me, is when you watch the video side by side, you just get the same vibe. But again, like we talked about when we're dissecting the video, there's some moments in the film where the guy looks a little chubby.
Yeah.
Looks like maybe he has a little bit of a beer belly.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's other moments in the footage where it's like, I don't think that's a beer belly.
Right.
So, and I don't want to throw this guy under the bus because, again, watch the video, compare it for yourself. But what I find very interesting, and a lot of friends that I know that have watched this video is like, it's him. It's got to be him. Mm-hmm. Well, again, the alibis check out. And also, I want to applaud him for being so forthcoming. And so, he's been exactly like his son as far as questionings go. The other thing that Brandon's doing that I think is amazing is he'll just be sitting around, because this has shaken up his whole world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he'll just be sitting around thinking about something, or maybe a person, or some weird time that maybe didn't make sense to him. And he calls the police up.
Yeah.
And says, "Hey, this might not be nothing." And what he made statements later saying, pretty much every time I call the police and I think of something, they've already went down that rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I want to applaud him for that.
The other thing, too, some people have said Brandon is suspicious because he says, well, I'm not going to do any interviews. And you pointed out a good reason why he wouldn't do that. That's probably for the sake of his children.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean that he's not fully cooperating. As you pointed out, he's fully cooperating with the police. but anytime he's approached by reporters, he speaks to them. And
at length.
Yes. And I've also heard other reporters state that, you know what, I reached out to this guy and he said, I won't do an interview, but if you have any questions, email me, I'll send you the answers. Or if you want to give me a phone call, I'll do a phone call. So he's not tucking his tail and hiding from anybody.
Right.
He's being upfront about everything. And unfortunately, he's thrown into a situation that I don't think he had anything to do with, or anybody that he knows probably didn't have anything to do with it. And now his whole life and his whole marriage has gone under the microscope. And he's had to deal with that while trying to grieve for his murdered wife and help his children through this very tough time. I do want to talk about what this police chief said, the assistant chief said, regarding the people named in search warrants were also not considered suspects at the time of that press conference.
Yeah, but that's just politically correct bullshit to say.
Well, it is. And just because no one's considered a suspect does not mean that they are cleared.
Right.
There's a difference between the two. And a lot of times police don't name a suspect until they slap cuffs on the person.
Right.
But the reason why I bring that up was because early in this investigation, there were several people, I believe it was 7 or 8 people that were listed by name in a search warrant because they were collecting their cell phone records. And these are people pretty close to Missy. Some of them, one of them was her husband, of course, and her father-in-law and his wife as well. That leads us to the next thing. The next thing in this case, we said there was more surveillance footage. Well, this was not from the church. This was from a place across the street. This is the SWFA sporting goods store, which is, I would say, roughly, it's kind of diagonal from the church itself. You can see the church from their parking lot. But on the night that she was murdered, at approximately 2 a.m., police released a photograph of a vehicle. And this is thought to be a 2010 or 11 or 12 silver or light in color Nissan Altima. This vehicle pulls into the parking lot of this sporting goods store. It's very strange because they released a photograph of it originally. Now, I'm not certain if the police released the full video or if it was the sporting goods store that released the full video. I'm not for sure who released it first. I've heard both. But originally, they just released the picture of the back of the car in hopes that somebody could identify the car. More specifically, there was a decal or a sticker that was located below the license plate. And it was kind of oval in shape. They were hoping that maybe somebody could point out where that came from. What that sticker would be. Maybe somebody would recognize it. Later, the video comes out of the car pulling in to the parking lot. Okay, so the car pulls in off of the highway or off of the street there into the sporting goods store, and the first thing that they do is they cut their lights.
Yeah,
and
suspicious.
Yes.
But it's also super late at night, too. I mean, well, it's technically early in the morning, but this is on a Sunday going into that Monday, so it's Monday at 2 a.m. It's like...
It's dark and raining. I would want my lights on.
Well, what are you doing out?
Right.
Anyways.
So there are some theories about who this could have been. That maybe it was a drunk driver that pulled over for a little bit. Maybe it was somebody that was pulling in off of the street there to look at their phone or a map. Maybe they were lost. But cutting the lights seems very strange to me because they don't cut the lights like once they get to a parking spot. They cut the lights as soon as they turn into the sporting goods store. Then furthermore, they drive around the store and eventually back out. But the problem here is, Captain, when they go to the back of the store, there are 2 vehicles parked back there. And when they see the other vehicles, they turn on their lights again. Almost like, oh, shit, there's somebody back here.
I better turn on my lights so I don't look suspicious.
Exactly, my friend. Now, police are saying that they don't believe that the vehicle belongs to the killer.
Well, yeah, but these police, I mean, they're just covering their own ass.
Right, you're exactly.
Yeah, we don't believe it. There's no reason to believe this person's a suspect. Like, yes, this person is in the vicinity of these murders within hours of the murders taking place, this person is a suspect. Period. Let's find out who this individual is, and let's waterboard him.
Let me ask you this, Captain. So this driver has not come forward. A lot of people have heard about this case.
Well, why would you come forward if you're the murderer?
Well, that's what I'm saying. What about this? Is there a chance that the driver of that vehicle, which I firmly believe is connected to this murder, it's just too much of a coincidence, in my opinion. Could he or she, whoever drove that vehicle, did they bust out that window at the church building, drive off? You can see the church from this location. You go over there for a little bit and see if police are going to respond to the break-in to test to see if there was some kind of alarm.
Yeah, which makes your theory make a lot more sense. But again, I believe this individual knew the building. If the person went there to kill her, they knew about the building. They knew about the not having an alarm system, possibly knowing that they didn't have surveillance either, like outside, and knowing that there's surveillance inside. Therefore, I need to have my face covered.
Right. I can see that. It doesn't sway my opinion any. I don't know that I believe that the person had much knowledge of this building other than that they knew that Missy would be there. One thing that's strange too, and this was later in the interview. I don't think it was in the portion that we showed, but we have the father speaking, or I'm sorry, her husband speaking,
right.
And he says that she was involved in multiple camps. He calls them camps, these fitness camps.
Right.
There was one that one of the daughters did attend with Missy. This would not be one of those. She never went to this early 5 a.m. one.
Of course,
so
it's 5 a.m.
So I also wonder, would the killer have known this in advance, that she would be alone, is what I'm saying.
Right, but and again, back to my point, if she knows this much about, if she, I keep on, Freudian slip, I think it's possibly a female.
Okay.
But I keep saying she. So, but I think this individual would know, if she knew that much about Missy, she would know that much about that building.
Okay, let's get on that subject right now. You said you believe you see a woman in the surveillance footage.
I mean, I see a booty at some point. So I mean, but it could be a guy.
When I first saw it, the first few times I watched it, I did see a woman. And then there's that weird part when the suspect stands still, and to the side, when you see the side of this person, I see a man.
Right.
And I'm going to throw out some other theories that I've heard from people, because I've showed this video to other people because I wanted to get their opinion. Maybe they could see something I'm not seeing, or can you at least see if it's a man or a woman? The strange thing is, just about every man that I showed it to thinks it's a woman, and just about every woman that I show it to thinks it's a man.
Well, that's the opposite. All my female friends instantly. I didn't even ask them if it was a man or a woman. They just watched it, and I think it was 3 for 3 within minutes, or not within minutes, within seconds of them starting the video. They're like, "That's a woman." We're also talking about if that evidence is factually correct, 5'2" to 5'7", it's more likely that it is a female,
right?
And I think the difficult thing about this case is, if there was infidelity, then we'd assume that that's the motive. Whether it's, let's say Missy was hooking up with one of her clients and the client's wife got mad, or the client's girlfriend got mad and then went after her. And I think that's what's so frustrating, is they have all this information. They have her Facebook, they have the interactions with these individuals. So we have a bunch of evidence. This should be solved. And I think it's not that simple. I think it's some weird type of motive that they haven't found the trail yet.
I think you're exactly right. And I'll tell you why. I think that whoever did this is just enough outside of her circle that they can't link it. They can't connect it. Or
is so heavily in the circle, but they can't see the motive. And look, I'm just going to put this out there. I mean, I've done a lot of CrossFit classes and spin classes, but I haven't been like totally entrenched into that world. Mm-hmm. But I have a lot of friends that are trainers and stuff. And I know that in every gym, there's some weird drama stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
And I would just assume that there was some of that. And it could be as simple as here's this mother of 3 that got in shape, put the time, the effort in, and maybe this individual couldn't or didn't have the willpower to do so and was jealous of that. Maybe she got more attention. Maybe she was upset that, she gets all this attention and she's married and maybe this person wasn't married and couldn't get attention that Missy was getting from guys. Mm-hmm. So I think there was some other motive going on.
That's a possibility. My theory on this case is...
I don't give a shit about your theory.
Well, you're going to hear it.
I'm just joking. If I sound mad, we were talking about this on the beer break. Somebody messaged me the other day, said, West Memphis 3, you sound mad. I'm like, yeah, that's because there's always a murder.
We're talking about there's never a good reason to kill somebody, and we're constantly talking about people getting killed, and on top of it, not knowing who's responsible.
Right.
So it does get frustrating at times. My theory is there's a connection to the city of Austin in this case, and I think that it's just enough outside of her circle that they've had trouble connecting it, and maybe there were a lot of people in Austin when Missy was there. Let me give you a little story on this. So Missy was in the city of Austin for at least an overnight stay, possible 2 nights in 3 days. I'm a little unclear as to which it was, but she was there for at least 1 night. Then she returns to Midlothian. Then she's murdered. It's pretty quickly after she returns that she's murdered. I believe the very next morning.
Who was she with?
When she was killed. It was one of these fitness things. I don't know if it was a camp that she was attending. It sounds to me like it was some kind of convention or some kind of fitness camp that she was attending, not that she was teaching. She went there by herself. I can't find any evidence.
Did they have eyewitnesses that she ever showed up? Because, I mean, look, if somebody's, unfaithful in their relationships, they come up with a crazy amount of stories so they can go places. For example, you can't tell your husband, hey, well, I'm going to go. Well, wives wouldn't talk like that. Anyways, but you can't say, hey, I'm going to go to Austin to go out drinking.
Right.
And to get laid in a hotel. You can't tell your husband that. So you'd have to say, well, there's this fitness convention and I gotta go good to that, know?
I don't know. I don't know if this was confirmed that she was actually there. I believe that she was there. Every report that I've found, it doesn't seem to be questionable if she was there. I think that possibly she was there for more than one reason. I think she was there to attend this thing, and either one of 2 things possibly happened. Either she met somebody there and they had some kind of brief relationship.
Coitus.
Or she might have been going there and to break something off as well.
Very possible.
And if that's the case, that's why I just feel like there's some kind of Austin connection here. I think somebody could have drove in from out of town. They could have not known much about that building other than knew that she would be there that morning. I think they tested the building to see if it had an alarm. They watched from someplace and then went back to the building to wait for her. I'm unclear. I'm still wondering about the driver, about where this person put their car. I think that they probably parked somewhere and arrived on foot. I wouldn't think they would have parked too far away because they needed to get out of there quickly after.
Well, this individual had a hard time walking anyways.
Here's my thought on the walk. I wonder if the walk is not real, if it's not a real thing, and maybe that's hindered this case somehow because everybody believes, well, the killer had to have had this funny walk.
Look, I think, again, like I said, 5'2" to 5'7", maybe it's some crazy bat that watched every Dateline and every Oxygen Channel show and thought, you know what, this little blonde hussy is sleeping with my man, and I'm going to show her and put on a size 10 boot, put on her husband's boots instead of, her own. And that's hard to walk in. Have you ever seen a little kid put on big shoes and start walking? It's very unnatural. So I don't think that it's a fictitious walk in the way that the suspect would be doing it on purpose.
Right.
But
that's why I think it looks natural. Right.
But because of the parts of it being choosing of a bigger boot or whatever, now I walk a little funny. It's also possible that it could be the opposite. It could be tighter boots. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, trust me, I've had some times where I've went to weddings with tight shoes on. I mean, my dance moves didn't look so good. Didn't look so natural. It kind of looked like I had a bum leg.
That was a scenario that you came up with in your mind. You were not calling the victim a hussy, right?
No, I'm saying that the person that murdered him would have thought that.
Right, and I wanted to point that out so nobody thinks that you're being insensitive.
Look, I mean, first of all, I'm just angered by, America in general as far as it goes with marriages, and that's a whole different show. But infidelity and cheating on people, I think, is an awful, horrible thing that people do to each other, and it's normally just to get some attention, and I think that's pretty shallow. So as far as all the infidelity rumors, that makes me upset. But also, I know for a fact that and from the statements that her husband made, she was trying to do a good thing. She taught kids with disabilities. That's somebody that's not worried about the money. They're trying to make a difference in the world. I applaud that. And then on top of that, one of the things that people, depression and all this stuff, one of the ways to fight that is to get active, lose some weight, and there's so many more mental benefits of exercising than maybe even physical ones. So I really applaud her on that. So as much as I don't like the infidelity stuff, it seems like she was somebody that was trying to make a difference in other people's lives. And how can you not respect that?
Well, and nobody's perfect either. So we,
speak for yourself.
But here, I want to expand on something here, Captain. Regarding this walk, I wonder if it's hindering this investigation, because I wonder if this person doesn't truly have this weird walk. And like you said, it looks natural because it was natural in that moment in those maybe boots that are too big. There's actually one of her family members put some letters to the killer on their Facebook page. And in one of the lines, this family member says, Are you shaking in your boots that are too big for you? So I wonder if that's something that on the inside, the people close to the case have always felt, or maybe they
know.
Yes.
They might know.
The other thing is, remember, I kept saying that I believe this person had some kind of utility belt, or that we see the person put the pry bar on a belt or in their pocket. If I'm walking in boots that are too big for me, or even the right size, if I got a pry bar in my pocket, that's going to affect my walk a little bit as well. Who knows what other sharp or heavy objects this person has in those pant pockets?
Yeah, I mean, this is just frustrating in general.
I do want to throw out something weird here, because I don't want to get accused of missing anything.
Because it wouldn't be you if you didn't say something weird.
And you had mentioned some activity on LinkedIn. There was this came from a friend of Missy's. She told police that less than 3 days before her murder, Missy had received a creepy LinkedIn message from a man that was unknown to the both of them. I don't know what they can do with this information.
Well, yeah, there was the creepy message, but there was also a message. There was flirtation that was going back and forth between another individual. Now, they have since questioned that individual, but I don't know if there's any more evidence or any more knowledge of who this quote unquote creepy individual was.
No, I don't. I think that's still unknown, as is the driver of that vehicle that was seen on surveillance camera.
Well, and it's really hard to see in that surveillance footage of the car. Was there only one person or two people?
You can't see in the vehicle. I can't. I know I've heard people staring at and watching that video over and over again to see if they can see anything.
Sometimes that just plays tricks on your mind.
I'm a little guilty of that. I did that myself. But I think that car is definitely connected to this case somehow.
Well, this is, again, like I said, very similar to the Brandon Lawson case, and the fact that once you start hearing the Brandon Lawson tape 911 call, you think that you can solve it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start seeing this surveillance footage, you start thinking, maybe there's something that I can pick apart.
Yeah, maybe I can see something that nobody else saw.
And this is a frustrating case, and hopefully we get some more answers and we're able to update this later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liken this case to the Delphi murders case, where there's just enough video footage, there's just enough imagery that you sit here and you wonder why this is not solved, and it angers you even more to know that there's this evidence out there and it's not currently led anywhere.
Well, and I would assume that releasing some of this footage has led to some rabbit holes and stuff like that. And I think law enforcement needs to sometimes go, hey, there's been nothing happening for a year. We need to release more stuff. Maybe we can get a bite somewhere else.
Yeah, release some type of information so we have a better clue of to what actually took place. And I also hope that they're vetting everybody from that Austin visit that she was involved in.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about that, and that's something now I'll have to dive into. I think this is going to be a case that stays on my radar for quite a long time.
While you're checking out the video at truecrimegarage.com, make sure you check out our recommended reading page. This week we are recommending Perfect Victim, the true story of the girl in the box by Christine McGuire and Carla Norton. This is the true story of a 20-year-old woman who decided to hitchhike to California, and she is abducted by a couple and made to be their slave. For 7 long years, she was held captive in their home, and for much of that time, she was in a coffin-like box underneath the couple's bed. So check out Perfect Victim. Check out all of the recommended books on our recommended page. And if you pick them up through our Amazon banner, it gives us a little kickback, and it costs you nothing extra. And if you love True Crime Garage, make sure you subscribe to the show. Make sure you tell a friend. Until next week, be good, be kind, and don't litter.
Free cunch.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.